Pratap, can you hear me? Pratap, am I audible to you?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Pratap, please ask all your classmates to join immediately so that we can start.
Yes, sir. I'm telling, asking them, sir, right now.
Tell what's his name, Pradeep and others. Okay,
Definitely, sir. I'm telling them, sir.
okay, okay.
Right.
Shugata, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Shugata, please ask all your batchmates to join. This is a
Okay, sir.
departmental affair. This is a
Okay, sir.
departmental affair. Everybody should join.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
One of your faculties, she will be speaking. Please. We have invited a
None of the
speaker,
first,
a very renowned speaker.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
none of the
Please
first
tell
semester
them, tell
students
them to
has joined.
join immediately. Tell them to join immediately.
None of the
Yes.
are there. None of the first time
Yes.
Okay,
students
sir.
are there.
This is
Shomik,
disgraceful,
please
and
write.
I have
Shomik, can
already,
you
I have
please write
already,
in?
I have already
Okay,
written.
okay.
Anushka, can you hear me? Anushka? Is Anushka there? Anushka Dash? I can see her. She is not responding.
শানু, শানু,
হ্যাঁ,
কোনো ফিডব্যাক কি করা হয়েছে?
না, না, ফিডব্যাক তো করিনি।
ঠিক আছে।
হুম, হুম।
Anushka Dash, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Please ask your batchmates to join immediately so that we can start the webinar. Okay?
Oh, okay, sir. Okay, sir.
সম্পূর্ণা, সম্পূর্ণা,
হ্যাঁ স্যার।
এই অন্যদের বল তো জয়েন করতে তাড়াতাড়ি।
আচ্ছা বলছি।
তুই নিজে পার্সোনালি ফোন করে দেখ একটুখানি।
আচ্ছা।
প্রসিদ, আমাকে শুনতে পাচ্ছ? প্রসিদ,
হ্যাঁ স্যার, শুনতে পাচ্ছি।
প্রসিদ একটু তোমাদের অন্যদের ফোন করে বলো তো যে জয়েন করতে বলছেন স্যার এখনই। রিন্টুকে বলো, স্বাগতাকে বলো, ওদের সবাইকে বলো।
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে।
হ্যাঁ। প্রিয়া, সুষমা, তারপরে শ্রেয়া, ওদেরকে বল, তনুশ্রী, ওদের জয়েন করতে বল।
আচ্ছা স্যার, বলছি।
সুগতা, ক্যান ইউ হিয়ার মি?
ইয়েস স্যার।
সুগতা, সুগতা, ওয়্যার ইজ স্বাগতা? নীলাঞ্জন, ওয়্যার আর দি আদার্স?
কল করেছি স্যার, আসছে।
ঠিক আছে।
হ্যাঁ।
Aparna, we will start from 6:05. Okay.
Okay, our speakers have joined.
Yes.
Okay,
Swami Pendra has joined. Yeah,
okay, fine.
but many other people are joining still.
Okay.
আমরা দেরি করছি কেন?
স্যার আমরা 6টা 5 থেকে শুরু করব, জাস্ট 2 মিনিট দিচ্ছি, ওই আরো অনেকে জয়েন করছে তো সেই জন্য স্যার। হ্যাঁ,
ঠিক আছে।
অপর্ণা, ইউ স্টার্ট।
A very good evening to all of you. On behalf of the Department of English, Nabobarakpur Prafulla Chandra Mahavidyalaya, I welcome you all to today's webinar titled Indian English Drama Practice and Problems. We are honored to have amongst us our principal sir, Dr. Shunil Kumar Vishwas, without whose encouragement today's webinar would not have been possible. I would like to welcome our guest speaker for the day, Dr. Shomipendra Banerjee, whom we have had the honor of listening to on a previous occasion, and we just wanted to have more of him. So, again, a very warm welcome to you, Dr. Banerjee, who is an assistant professor in the Department of English at the University of Gaurakongo, Malda. Our second speaker for the day is our faculty in our own college, Paramita Bandyopadhyay. She teaches at the Faculty of English at Nabobarakpur Prafulla Chandra Mahavidyalaya. I would also like to welcome her today, although she is our in-house speaker for the day. Now, coming to Indian English drama, a lot can be said about it, but I think that's left for our very esteemed speakers to do the honors. I would just like to say a few words since the job of the inauguration has been kind of bestowed upon me. In a recent conversation between Girish Karnad and Mahesh Dattani, they had many interesting things to say about theater in India. And when I say theater in India, I'm referring to Indian English drama. One of the major challenges is to write credible dialogue. And as Girish Karnad puts it, spoken dialogue, you just don't write dialogue. So, Mahesh Duttani too is of the opinion that the biggest of challenges is to reflect the language the way it is spoken and not harp on the correct form. English is still a city based language, as we know, and the only way to reach the common man is to make the language and content more accessible. Now, since today's webinar deals with practices and problems, there are many challenges that the English playwright has to face, starting from the lack of opportunity and trained actors to lack of sponsorship and to the demands made by the language itself. So, Indian English drama perhaps has not grown in the way drama in other Indian languages have. So, despite all these limitations, definitely we have reached a certain benchmark. And today's webinar, I think, will definitely enlighten us regarding the various aspects, the challenges, and the success of Indian English drama in the contemporary scenario. And we definitely look forward to a very illuminating session today. Now, I would like to request our principal, sir, Dr. Shunil Kumar Vishwas, to say a few words. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Aparna. নববারাকপুর প্রফুল্লচন্দ্র মহাবিদ্যালয়ের ইংলিশ বিভাগ আয়োজিত ওয়ান ডে স্টেট লেভেল ওয়েবিনার এ আজকের আলোচ্য বিষয় ইন্ডিয়ান ইংলিশ ড্রামা প্র্যাকটিস অ্যান্ড প্রবলেমস। আমি আমাদের কলেজের পক্ষ থেকে এই আলোচনা চক্রে আগত রিসার্চ পার্সন ডক্টর সমীপেন্দ্র ব্যানার্জি, অ্যাসিস্ট্যান্ট প্রফেসর ডিপার্টমেন্ট অফ ইংলিশ, ইউনিভার্সিটি অব গৌরবঙ্গ, মালদা মহাশয়কে শুভেচ্ছা এবং শুভকামনা জানাই। শুভেচ্ছা এবং শুভকামনা জানাই আমাদের ইংরাজি বিভাগের অধ্যাপক পারমিতা বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায়কে আজকে তার বক্তব্য পেশ করার জন্য। শুভকামনা এবং শুভেচ্ছা জানাই আলোচনা চক্রের আজকের আয়োজক ডিপার্টমেন্ট অফ ইংলিশ এবং তার হেড অফ দ্য ডিপার্টমেন্ট অপর্ণা মণ্ডল, শ্রমিক সেন মহাশয়। ধন্যবাদ জানাই এই আলোচনা চক্রে আগত এবং অংশগ্রহণকারী সকল শিক্ষক শিক্ষিকা এবং ছাত্রছাত্রীদের। ধন্যবাদ জানাই আমাদের কলেজের ডিজিটাল সাপোর্ট কমিটির সকল সদস্যকে। আমরা আশা করব আজকের এই আলোচনা চক্র ইন্ডিয়ান ইংলিশ ড্রামা প্র্যাকটিস অ্যান্ড প্রবলেমস শীর্ষক আলোচনাটি সর্বাঙ্গ সুন্দর ও সার্থক হবে এবং আমরা দুজন বক্তার আলোচনা এবং বক্তব্যে আমরা ঋদ্ধ হব এবং সমৃদ্ধ হব। আমি এই ইংলিশ ড্রামা এই সাবজেক্টটা আমার নয়, আমাদের প্রিন্সিপাল দুই একটা কথা তাও আমি যদি একটু বলতে চাই, শেয়ার করতে চাই দুটো লাইন। Drama in India has a grand old history. Tagore, the first major playwright, invested Indian English drama with lyrical excellence, symbolizing an allegorical significance. Dramatists like Lakshman Dev, Gurucharan Das, Pratap Sharma, Pritish Nandi made significant contribution in uplifting the Indian English drama. Contemporary Indian drama is experimental and innovative in terms of thematic and technical qualities. A cumulative theatrical tradition evolved by Mohan Rakesh, Badal Sarkar, Vijay Tendulkar, and Girish Karnad. prepared the background of contemporary Indian English drama. That's all. আমি আশা করব আজকের আলোচনা আমরা ঋদ্ধ হব, সমৃদ্ধ হব। অপর্ণা।
Thank you, sir. I mean, being from a completely different discipline, you have kind of your introductory remarks in a way that really makes us feel that you are also a person belonging to the domain of literature. Thank you once again, sir. Without further ado, I would now like to invite our guest speaker, Dr. Shomipendra Banerjee. Over to you, Shomipendra.
ইয়েস, শুভ সন্ধ্যা, সকলকে নমস্কার। প্রফেসর সুনীল কুমার বিশ্বাস, প্রিন্সিপাল, নবব্যারাকপুর প্রফুল্লচন্দ্র মহাবিদ্যালয়, যেহেতু বাংলাতেই শুরু করলেন, আমিও বাংলাতেই শুরু করি। এবং ওনার কথা শুনতে শুনতে আমার যেটা মনে হচ্ছিল, এই বাংলা আর ইংরেজির একটা অদ্ভুত দ্বন্দ্বের জায়গা তৈরি হয়ে যাচ্ছে। আমরা যারা ইংরেজি সাহিত্য বা ইংরেজি ভাষা নিয়ে চর্চা করি, তার মানে কিন্তু কখনোই এই নয় যে বাংলার সঙ্গে কোনো বিরোধ আমাদের থাকা দরকার। বিশেষ করে মাতৃভাষা দিবস গেছে গতকাল, তো সেই জন্য আরো বেশি করে এই কথাটা মনে পড়ছে। আপনারা দেখবেন যারা ইংরেজি সাহিত্য নিয়ে চর্চা করেছেন এবং বিশিষ্ট মানুষ যারা বিদেশেও অত্যন্ত নাম করেছেন, যেসব বরেণ্য মানুষরা, তারা কিন্তু কোথাও না কোথাও ফিরে এসেছেন নিজের মাতৃভাষার কাছে। সুতরাং এই দুটি ভাষার মধ্যেকার আদান প্রদানের জায়গাটাকে সম্মান রেখেই আমরা দুটি ভাষা নিয়েই চর্চা করি, কাজ করি। তো এবারে আমি সকলকে ধন্যবাদ জানাই এবং I will now shift to English. So once again, I mean, I'm really honored today to be called up once again by Novobarakpur Profullo Chandra Mahavidyalaya for the second time actually. I consider this to be really honor on my part and privilege, because these are digital times, and these are times whereby we have a lot of options of resource persons and speakers around us. And there has been so much wonderful content that is coming up every day, and new possibilities are being explored. So even, I mean, despite that, you have thought of me, that is really something for me. This is one little problem today. It has coincided with another lecture that our department is organizing today. Professor Deborah Ann Castillo from Cornell University will be speaking soon, as part of our departmental initiative. So I might be, I might have to leave this webinar after a short while. But anyway, till then, of course, I'm here. So once again, I mean, this will be primarily an address to the students. The topic that has been given, and it has been wonderfully introduced by Dr. Aparna Mondol and the principal sir as well. Thank you for both of you for your wonderful introductions. Actually, the reason I started off with language is that, today what I will be speaking of would be largely concerned with language. Now, I haven't given a specific title to my talk, but we are concerned with Indian English drama, practices and problems. Now, whenever it is Indian English drama, yes, there are certain problems, and these problems are connected to the question of practice. Because, once again, when we talk of drama, when we talk of Indian English drama, then we are not actually talking of Indian English theater. And everywhere I make this distinction in whichever webinar I've been speaking of between drama and theater. I won't go into that in very details, but theater is the performance, the live performance form, whereas drama is the textual part. So when it comes to scholarship on Indian English drama, there is a lot of scholarship that is happening right now. But when it comes to Indian English theater in practice, then the same doesn't hold true. One interesting thing I would request the students, just after today's webinar is over, you can just go back, or you can do it right away simultaneously, because we are always flipping our fingers through our phones nowadays. So you can search Google. You can Google Indian English drama, and you can Google Indian English theater, and you will be surprised by the difference of the responses that Google has to offer. My point is that when we type Indian English drama, then a lot of responses immediately crop up. The number of results are minimized, dramatically minimized, the moment we write Indian English theater. So part of my talk would be an effort to understand this, number one. Secondly, I would go back to the idea of language. I will look at a historiographical perspective towards Indian English drama on the one hand. My focus would be largely Asif Karimboy, a forgotten person, primarily, I would say, largely forgotten. And then I would, near the end, move towards Mahesh Dattani. Professor Aparna was speaking of Mahesh Dattani and Girish Karnad as, key figures, and their ideas about theater, their ideas about, composing a particular play, so which is very significant. So I'll return to Dattani, but I won't stress too much on Dattani because there has been a lot of, discussion and discourse already on Dattani. Just a minute. Just muted it. Right. So it's a difficult task, first of all, and to start with the history. Now, whenever there is a discussion or any critical engagement with Indian English drama, we usually prefer to narrate a set of playwrights, a set of people who have been associated with the Indian English drama. Now, this will, if you go through any such books that have the title Indian English drama, you will find that it invariably begins with Krishna Mohan Banerjee's The Persecuted, which is regarded as the first drama written in English in India. And then, after traversing several other playwrights, many of whom have already been mentioned here, passing through Sri Aurobindo, passing through Rabindranath Tagore, we move into the post-independence phase, and it ends with a kind of an elation about the greatness of and the success of Mahesh Dattani. Now, my perspective as a researcher on Indian drama in English has always been slightly different. I have attempted to historicize the failure of Indian English drama, if at all we can talk about it. So instead of successes, why don't we talk of failures? Instead of the kind of greatness that we usually associate with dramatists, why do we tend to forget people? So, today we will be talking, part of my discussion will be based on the lesser known figures, or figures whom we have chosen to not to remember, actually, which is one of the ironies of the way our memory operates, and the way in which we define and understand what it means to be successful, what it means to be a failure. Because in theater, you see, it is mandatory that you succeed, but we often do not succeed. In theater, there have been numerous examples of wonderful productions, of brilliant plays that have not gone well, have not been received well by the audience. It was an experiment that failed. I can readily recollect the one example that always comes to my mind is that by Girish Chandra Ghosh. Girish Chandra Ghosh as Macbeth. We all know Girish Chandra Ghosh as the doyen of Bengali theater in the 19th century. But Girish Chandra Ghosh had done this wonderful translation of Macbeth, which did not work in the stage, and it was taken away. It was taken off, and soon Girish Chandra Ghosh shifted to other kinds of plays. So, I think this is also a different question that I've been pondering over. for some time that why do we need to always concern ourselves with success, with what is successful, particularly in theater, in drama. That is because, and it's primarily a live performance form. But then there should be other issues as well. And when we are looking back at the history or the historiography of Indian drama in English, then what we usually do is we tend to look at English only and look at them as if they are separate, they are distinct from the larger movement of Indian theater. That again is a problematic way of approach. My contention is that it is when we are talking of Indian English drama, then it has to be considered in connection with the larger movement of Indian theater at large, because without it we cannot contextualize that drama. This has not been happening properly in terms of the scholarship on Indian English drama that we have so far been looking at. There are transformations, of course, that are coming up. That is true. So we now move on to Asif Karimboy, one of the major voices of Indian English drama. And I would start by taking up a critical article, a critical comment made by Shanta Gokhale. Shanta Gokhale is one of the leading theater critics in India right now, and she has been contributing articles, writing books on leading theater practitioners and figures. Now, in the Oxford Companion to Indian Theatre, which was published in the last decade, it is a significant and a massive, voluminous work, actually, of encyclopedic nature on Indian theatre. There is an entry called English Theatre, where Shanta Gokhale writes. She devotes this one sentence about Asif Karimboy. And what is that? In the 1960s, the unsung socio-political work of Asif Karimboy brought power, passion, and complexity to the original Indian English drama, but offended conservatives, which led to a ban on the Dole Drummers. The Dole Drummers is a play by Asif Karimboy, which was banned for its controversial content. But that is not the concern for us. I will just repeat what she says. The unsung socio-political work of Asif Karimboy brought power, passion, and complexity to original Indian English drama, but offended conservatives. Now, you see, this is actually the only sentence that Shanta Gokhale uses for Karimboy, kind of summarizing the situation, kind of summarizing the approach, the kind of summarizing the failure that we usually associate Asif Karimboy with. But then we need to understand why is this, such? Why is this situation such? So by using the word unsung, Gokhale is drawing attention to the fact that many of Karimboy's plays were not produced. But then, if, as she has recognized, if his plays brought power, passion, and complexity, then it stands in ironical contrast to the fact that they were not produced, or that they remained unsung. Now, this is the paradox within which we need to locate Asif Karimboy. Another remark, which is a very famous one with reference to Asif Karimboy, and that is Fabian Bowers. Fabian Bowers, a Western critic, had hailed Asif Karimboy as India's first authentic voice in the theatre. It's a very, it's one of the few lines of tribute or compliment that Asif Karimboy had received throughout his career. India's first authentic voice in the theatre. What is interesting here, this is again confusing because he doesn't really clarify what he means by the Indian theatre. And we all know that before independence, to the West, there was this very strange Orientalist construction or idea of Indian theatre as as something that is, of course, Sanskrit theatre and nothing beyond that, and to a certain extent Rabindranath Tagore's theatre. So beyond that, they did not have any idea initially. It's only after the emergence of the modern Indian theater that the international audience starts, giving attention, paying attention to the complexity of modern Indian theater. Now, even if that is taken up, one interesting thing is that Fabian Bowers is placing Asif Karimboy within Indian theater and not Indian English drama or theater, as it has been customary. What I'm suggesting is that we have always, used watertight compartments. So if it is Indian English drama, then these are the people. We talk of Jeev Patel, we talk a little about Pratap Sharma, we talk a little about Nissim Ezekiel, and of course we start with Krishna Mohan Banerjee's The Persecuted. Just one thing I would like to share with everyone here. My friend, our friend and colleague Paromita, she has this wonderful book on The Persecuted by Krishna Mohan Banerjee, which was recently published. I think it was published in 2018, where she has done such wonderful archival work, and I would suggest everyone who is interested in Indian English drama to get that and to read The Persecuted. We often talk of Krishna Mohan Banerjee, but if we read The Persecuted, we would be surprised, because it is such a polemical work, and in today's context, it is so controversial. It is unthinkable that in the 1830s someone is writing this play in a very different context. So that was a little diversion. So coming back to Karimboy, what is crucial about Karimboy is that he is, if his career, if we can say that his career is flourishing in the crucial decades of the 1960s and the 1970s, and this is an important time for the Indian theater, and this is where we need to place Karimboy. We need to contextualize Karimboy. This is the time when the emerging post-independence modern Indian theater is taking its shape. It's being formed. Experimentations are being done with the theme, with the form, structure, and language of theater, and the institutionalization of Indian theater is in full swing. Now, in some other webinars and talks, I have also spoken of institutionalization of modern Indian theater, which is not the focus today, but we need to understand that the Sangeet Natak Academy was formed around this time, and it led on to the establishment. This was in 1953, and it led on to the establishment of the National School of Drama in 1959. So these key central government institutions that would determine the course of modern Indian theater in terms of principles, in terms of an ideology, in terms of what it means to be Indian theater. These were being, set up. These were preparing for a journey about Indian theater. And this is what coincides with Asif Karimboy's early career as well. And when Karimboy is, preparing to stage his overtly political plays, like, for example, Goa in the 1970s, Inkilab, Refugee, Sonar Bangla. These three plays together are referred to as the Bengal trilogy, Inkilab, Refugee, and Sonar Bangla. The Sangeet Natak Academy had already decided upon its agenda for a national theater and a modern theater of India. And this is where it became a clash of opposites. And this is something that we need to theorize and understand. And from here, I would like to shift over to the politics of language. And now, whenever we discuss Indian drama in English, the politics of language is something that immediately crops up in the discussion. So no discussion of drama in English is possible without considering language and the politics of language in India, the politics of English in India in particular. This is not the case for Bengali theater. This is not the case for Marathi theater. But when it comes to Indian drama in English, it needs this always crops up. Now, when the Sangeet Natak Academy was being established and the idea of an Indian or national theatre began to be addressed, the necessity of a linked language started growing, because India has always been multilingual, diverse in terms of language. Now, as the Sangeet Academy was promoting and celebrating several vernacular language theatres, Hindi and English grew as linked languages primarily, but in different capacities. So the phenomenon was furthered by the establishment of the National School of Drama, NSD, as I told, in 1959. Now, NSD emphasized Hindi as the common link language between performers, students, and teachers from various parts of India. English, on the other hand, remained the preferred language for academic exchange, for reports, for the writing of the reviews. So it was primarily textual. When it came to the discussion, academic discussions related to theatre and the textual component of it, that was the link language was English. But when it came to discussing what kind of theatre do we need to produce, the discussion between performers, between students, back at NSD, it was always Hindi. And this choice was because of the policies and visions of Ibrahim Al-Qazi, the first director of National School of Drama. Now, I'm quoting from Al-Qazi. What Al-Qazi said was that he, I quote, wanted to work on a national scale in the national language Hindi. Okay, so I'm going into that debate any further. He also pointed out to Nissim Ezekiel that if theatre in the country had to amount to anything significant, it had to be performed in Hindi/Hindustani. So this is Ibrahim Al-Qazi's position. Interestingly, on the other hand, as the director of theatre unit and theatre group of Bombay, these are the TG of Bombay, the theatre group of Bombay, Ibrahim Al-Qazi was a pioneer in post-independence English theatre in India. So you see, this paradox is central to English and Hindi's engagement with Indian theatre. So Al-Qazi was visionary enough to realize that we needed to perform in Hindi and Hindustani, but we needed to communicate when it comes to academic discussions in English. So this is the problematics of language. This is something that Aparna Dharwarkar is wonderfully identifying in her work. As a link language, English gave national visibility to regional Indian theatres. However, through print publications and not in performance. This is again a situation which is unique to English in India, because it seems that there is no problem in accepting the English language when it comes to translations of regional plays in print, because otherwise how will you read it? How can a Marathi speaking person read Badal Sarkar's plays unless and until it is translated in English? Whereas when it comes to staging and adaptation, now if you think of Vijay Mehta doing Badal Sarkar, one of Badal Sarkar's plays, then it always has to be in Hindi. So that the preferred language has always been Hindi. Now this is what Dharwarkar identifies as the distinction between the radical of presentation as the printed word and the radical of presentation as acted or spoken word. And she suggests that the naturalization of English in India has been effective only in the case of the printed word, not in the case of the word with which we perform. Now, this is where Asif Karimboy's career, or Asim Karimboy's engagement with the English language as an Indian playwright is becoming complex. As an Indian playwright who chose to write in English, Karimboy's milieu, particularly in view of the 1960s and 70s, which I have already discussed, was also when modern Indian theatre was emerging and the language of theatre was also emerging. So that was hardly congenial to English drama in India. And this issue of language, not only that, Indian theatre had already applied itself to a concerted project of decolonization in terms of Indian theatre. So you see, which is why Karim's choice of the English language as the language of his place was probably always politically incorrect. Karimba has repeatedly expressed disgust about the way his choice of language has been prioritized over his drama. Writing in 1971, he once expressed his frustration. It is discouraging, Karimboy says, and makes me mad to find barriers come about at the mere mention of the word English when it comes to our theater. Ironically, however, English was the only choice he could make because that was the only language he knew. In another interview, he says, now I know only English, so I write in English, but on situations which are non-English speaking also. The fact that I use English as a tool is only necessary because English is the only language I know with sufficient fluency to be able to express myself. You see, therein lies the disjuncture, because he's writing about non-English situations with the English language because that's the only language he knows. So part of the, the failure, if at all it's a failure, of Asif Karimboy resides in this politics of language, which was very contextual at that time in the 1960s. And not only that, in connection with the decolonization of Indian theater, it must be said that English was still regarded as the colonizer's language, something that we we have moved away from that today to a great extent. But for Karimboy, it was the language in which he was expressing his drama was the colonizer's language, and therefore always, a matter of suspicion. Now, I will just briefly talk, since we are talking about practice, I will briefly talk of Inkilab, this one play that is part of the Bengal trilogy. Now, but I won't talk of the text of the play. I would rather talk of a production of Inkilab. We all know that Asif Karimboy's plays were not staged as such. I mean, the as much as he wanted as much as he would have wanted his plays to be staged, his plays were not staged. His plays were hardly staged in India. There were very occasional performances. And this one occasional performance that I am referring to is that of Inkilab, which was done in Bengali, in Calcutta. Many of us aren't aware of this production of Inkilab, and this is where we need to, focus on this. This was done by Theatre Center, another forgotten, more or less forgotten, theatre group, amateur theatre group. But Theatre Center in the 1970s was very influential. It was being led by Torun Roy, and Torun Roy was very dynamic during those days. And Torun Roy decided to do Karimboy's Inkilab because it was so politically rich. It was so it was talking about the Naxalite rebellion that was going on in Calcutta at that particular time, and Torun Roy thought that it was really a bold statement that Karimboy is making through Inkilab. Why not produce that in Bengal? Actually, the play was directed by Torun Roy, who was also doing the character of Professor Datta. His wife Dipanita was acting as Krishna and others, and there was an ensemble cast with 40 artists. In the brochure, it was written in that production, there was a synopsis where the brochure notes that Inkilab is a story of a young man's honest doubt and conflict about his involvement in the Naxalite revolutionary movement. In trying to resolve this, he goes through the anguish of the full circle of experiences, starting with his confrontation with his father and ending with the understanding of what a personal loss can mean. What strikes out most in the play is its impartiality and the fact that people are victims to circumstances and to the dilemma of life. So that's what the brochure of Inkilab says. See, what is interesting is when we do archival research, when we try to find out things in their original forms, a lot of paratextual material emerges that can be rich source of alternative understanding of not only the play, but its theatrical context and its historical context as well. And these brochures, I mean, this is also, you know, a kind of wherever I speak, I also wish to invite younger scholars towards new avenues of work, of research in the areas of Indian theater. And, you know, these, now, if we just study the brochures of the erstwhile theater groups and how they used to present their the plays, the artwork associated with it, that itself can be a brilliant study, a study in visual iconography as such, connected with theater. In Amrita Bajar Potrika of 9th February 1973, this was written, Inqilab is about the revolutionary Naxalite movement which reached its crescendo a year or two ago. The playwright presents it objectively without taking sides, but rather makes the experience vivid in its present Bengali language presentation by Tarun Roy. So the objectivity of the detachment of the author is, you know, appreciated by many of the contemporary reviews that were done of that particular production. However, even after this, even after all this, there is some lack in the play, and it didn't really, it wasn't a tremendous success, it was just a moderate success. And Theatre Center actually has a tradition of reviving their earlier productions in their annual theatre festivals, but they never repeated Inqilab. So they have repeated all their previous productions in a new light under Tarun Roy's direction, but they have never repeated Inqilab. Now, I was incidentally, many of you might know Tarun Roy's son, that is Debraj Rai. Debraj Rai also is a major actor, a well-known figure in the television circles of the early part of the 20th century. Nowadays, Debraj Rai is less seen, but there was a series of long interviews that I took with Debraj Rai during my work on PhD, and where I asked him about his father, Tarun Roy. And Debraj Rai said that, you know, for Tarun Roy later felt that the play was dated to a certain extent because it was talking of a specific historical moment. This is again one of the problems of Asif Karimboy. Karimboy has always written about historically immediate, you know, events, and they fail to kind of transcend towards, you know, issues that are of universal significance beyond the time frame that he is sticking to. So Debraj Rai was saying that it was dated to a certain extent. Moreover, the play lacked dramatic action, and there was probably a bit too much of dialogue and wordy debate instead of action, which is why Tarun Rai did not want to do it again. But from Debraj Rai, I heard several of the stories of the interaction between Tarun Roy and Asif Karimboy when Karimboy was staying in Calcutta actually. His passion and excitement about the play in its rehearsal stages. And both Tarun Rai and Karimboy were specifically enthusiastic about the forthcoming production of Inqilab and had worked very hard for the production. Whatever little documentation survives, we see that he was very excited about the Bengali production of Inqilab. It was supposed to be held at Muktangon, which is again another significant area. I mean, you know, in terms of theatrical halls, it has a wonderful history in association with the theater history of Calcutta. So, but ultimately it was held in Kala Mandir, and again, you know, the brochure tells us that, you know, who was invited. That is also something that is very interesting. Tarun Rai, the director of his play, also put in the best of his efforts to turn Theatre Center's production of Inqilab into a major theatrical event of the city by inviting some people that included Satyajit Ray and A.L. Dias, who was the then governor of West Bengal. Not only that, Indira Gandhi, the then prime minister, had also sent in a message wishing the, you know, success of this play of Inqilab. So that was an experiment. I mean, that was a failure, I would say. Yet, what is ironical is that we have both forgotten or tend to forget Karim Boy on the one hand and Torun Roy also, because in the narrative of Badal Sarkar, Utpal Datta, Shambhu Mitro, and the wonderful amateur group theater that was emerging in Calcutta, we have put Torun Rai on one of the margins of Indian theater. So we need to rework these historical narratives. And from here, I think I'm already overstepping my time, but I will just quickly move over to Mahesh Dattani. I won't go into the details of that, but the transformation from Karim Boy to Dattani is a very interesting transformation, because you see, when Karim Boy is dying, I mean, Karim Boy dies in 1995, and by that time Mahesh Dattani's career has already started. But even then they are not contemporaries, because when Karim Boy is dying, the last time Karim Boy had written anything, that was in the 1970s, 1975. This Alien Native Land was the last play by Karim Boy. Frustrated, depressed at this lack of success, Karim Boy decided not to write anything, probably. But we don't know anything, but we really don't know much about the later part of Karim Boy's life. Now, by that time, when Dattani has already emerged, the world has already changed. It has transformed. Post 1990s, the world is never the same. And the success, now we come to the success of Dattani. The success of Dattani, if any, is because of globalization, I would argue, is because of the transformation in the attitude towards English language, and of course towards Dattani's own take of of English language in his place. Now, the way Dattani addresses English language, the way Dattani addresses what it means to be Indian, these are what places him above the rest of the other playwrights, and this is where he is really successful. Dattani has always been very clear about what kind of language is he using, what kind of work is he doing, and what it means to be, what is his position amidst this whole hue and cry about Indianness. I'm quoting from a recent, not recent anymore, but in 2001 in Bangalore, Mahesh Dattani said, "In a plural society as ours, which is culturally as diverse as the European continent and a civilization that is as ancient as the world, it is very difficult to define what is quintessentially Indian. Obviously, a more pluralistic approach is required. The conventional way of defining by linguistic or regional divides does not work for creating artistic identities anymore, or it probably never has." So, and of course, the way he negotiates with categories of India and Indian, in that talk also, he gave this wonderful metaphor of birds flying off from the tree. If traditional and continual theater is linked to our roots, radical theater is linked to our spirit. It soars like a bird exploring new horizons and offers us vantage points that we didn't know existed. One can have roots, and roots can grow into flowering trees. And on these trees are birds ready to spread their wings and fly. That is the completeness of life and its representative called theater. So I would like to end with this. I'm not going further into other aspects of Dattani, but this is what summarizes Dattani's position about himself, his visions about theater. Dattani has always been concerned with the theater, not with what it means to be Indian theater or it means Indian in theater. And that is why the issues, the invisible issues that he is so wonderfully concerned with, he's putting out those invisible issues from under the carpet and revealing it in such a language, a language that is not a top-down language, a language that doesn't seem to be stilting, doesn't seem to be suffocating, but a language that liberates. And that is where we are moving towards a phase in Indian drama in English, which is one of greater acceptance. And newer playwrights are coming up, like Abhishek Majumdar, for example. Newer playwrights are coming up with excellent work that is. So it's a bright future ahead. Okay, thank you. With this, I would like to end. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shami Pendruda, again for that absolutely wonderful lecture. I mean, personally, for me, it was an eye opener, and I think for the students also, this has been a very, very illuminating session. And I'm just, in awe of the way you talked about Asif Karimboy, and you have literally sung about the unsung hero of Indian theatre, and you have ignited our interest in the lesser known, in the unknown, and practically in the forgotten, figures of Indian theatre. And the way you have kind of talked about the problematics of the politics of language, and how the acceptance of English then becomes problematized as a linked language, and Hindi kind of takes its place. And you have literally taken us on a tour of post-independence Indian theatrical scenes. So I can't thank you enough, Shami Pendruda. I hope I have the honor of listening to you again on some other occasion. If there are any questions, can we just take them very quickly, because I think Shami Pendruda has to leave for another session. So are there any questions?
May I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Good evening, sir. So you were talking about how Dattani talks about Indianness and it being something very subjective and depending upon different peoples and their cross-cultural boundaries. So I would like to know that regarding Indian plays in English, which is that brand of Indianness which is universally acknowledged as very popular. I mean, there are many brands of Indiannesses, right? So there must be a certain brand which like pulsates on a universal level, which everybody recognizes with all around the world.
No, I mean, I won't be able to comment in that way, because whether there is any particular brand of Indianness, of course, there is a lot of politics, involved, even among the way the West is accepting what it means to be, what it is Indian. I guess it is always a perspective, a particular perspective that someone has, and something strikes in. It might be yoga for someone, it might be something else for someone. But today, there is a plurality, there is a multiplicity, and lots of different strands are coming together in what it means. What I was suggesting was that Dattani is one way of, one form of, or Dattani is talking of one form of Indian theatre. There are many other forms of Indian theatre that are equally valid and equally present. Okay, so and of course, yes, personally, Mahesh Dattani has been traveling worldwide, and it has his award that he won in as the Sahitya Academy Award, that has also helped Dattani to gain international recognition. So that has always been there. But I would see Dattani's plays as that form of Indianness in Indian theatre that is talking of one kind of way of looking at it, and there are multiple other possibilities.
Thank you, sir.
Are there any more
Yeah.
questions? Or
Did I get disconnected? No, I hope.
No, you are audible. Yeah.
Pato, is that? I mean, did you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Yes,
we
sir.
can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So you're audible, sir.
Okay. Any more questions for Shami Pendruda? Okay, then. Thank you once again, Dr. Shami Pendru Banerjee. Now we would like to move on to the second lecture for today's webinar. I would like to invite my colleague, Professor Paramita Bandyopadhyay, to deliver her lecture. Over to you, Paramita.
Thank you, Aparnadi. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Respected Principal Sir, Dr. Sunil Kumar Bishwas, Head of the Department of English, Dr. Aparna Mondol, and my respected Didi. Our esteemed guest speaker, Dr. Shamipendra Banerjee, University of Gorbongo, revered colleagues of my department and colleagues of other departments, and my dear students. At the outset, I express my sincere gratitude to our respected Principal Sir and my head of the department for giving me the opportunity to address this webinar on the subject Indian English Drama Practice and Problems. Now, this topic has a special relevance in today's context when experimentations and innovations are carried on in different Indian language theatres, including, of course, Indian English drama and theatre. Now, since my lecture is primarily addressed to my students, I will just begin with a brief overview of the development of Indian English drama in the early phase, and then I will move on to the practice in different phases and later on the problems faced in the practice of Indian English drama. Now, I start my presentation. Just bear with me a few seconds. I will start the PowerPoint. Okay. Is it visible? Is it visible? Hello? Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so I first begin with the first phase in the development of Indian English drama. Now here, as you can see the names, that is first phase. In the first phase, we see Krishna Mohan Banerjee, Michael Madhusudan Dutt, Rabindranath Tagore, and then Sri Aurobindo and Harindranath Chattopadhyay. Now, Krishna Mohan Banerjee, as we all know, way back in 1831, he wrote the first Indian English play titled The Persecuted. The play actually highlighted the clash between orthodoxy and modernity, which was a topical subject of that period in Bengal. Prior to the appearance of The Persecuted, English theatrical plays were received with much enthusiasm and appreciation. Now, the growing reception of English plays might have been one of the reasons for Krishna Mohan Banerjee to address himself to the writing of Indian English play. And we also find the critical exploration of the social scene that marked this play became a trendsetter for a fair number of Indian English plays that came out in the following decades. Next, I move on to Michael Madhusudan Dutt. Michael Madhusudan Dutt, the celebrated Bengali poet who was well versed in English, felt impelled to open up new opportunities for Indian English drama by translating his Bengali plays Sharmishta 1859 and Is This Called Civilization 1871. The second text was a translation of his own Bengali satiric play. Now, these two pioneers, that is Krishna Mohan Banerjee and Michael Madhusudan Dutt, they successfully presented their plays to cater to the educational and recreational needs of English knowing theatre spectators. Now, when we talk of Indian English drama, Indianization has always been the basic challenge to its practitioners. Now, what is it? That is this Indianization, what is it all about? That is Indian English drama, we know that is the essence of Indian English drama lies in presenting the Indian life and milieu, Indian problems, and then Indian values and ideals. So, keeping the question of this Indianization in mind, I will be discussing the practice and problems of Indian English drama. Now, next I move on to Rabindranath Tagore. Now, Rabindranath Tagore actually opened up the very important phase, because you know that is Indian literature in general and especially Indian poetry and drama owe an immeasurable date to the great literary genius of Rabindranath Tagore. In the second phase of his playwriting, Tagore gave a new form and idiom to Indian drama, departing from the Western model of playwriting. In his plays, we find the most authentic versions of Indian life and ethos, Indian thought and contemplation in appropriate language. Now, here the most important contribution by Tagore is that is he translated many of his Bengali plays, and also his contemporaries, that is his competent scholars along with him, also did a fair number of translations. Now his plays such as Ascetic, then The Maharani of Arakan, Red Oleanders, then The King of the Dark Chamber, these plays received wide acclaim both at home and abroad. And another important point which we must keep in mind, that is Tagore made excellent treatment of Indian myths in plays like Chitra, Karnakunti and Gandhari's Prayer. The next important point which we have to keep in mind is that is both Indian and overseas audiences began to take increasing interest in Tagore's plays. And why they began to take increasing interest? Because Tagore played a pioneering role in taking Indian English drama abroad. Now, the first I would like to mention about Daghor. That is, his play Daghor was translated into English by an Oxford student, Debobroto Mukhopadhyay, under the title The Post Office. The play was first staged at the Abbey Theatre, Dublin, on 17 May 1913, and it was further performed at the Court Theatre, London, on July the same year. Then the performance of Post Office, as we know, that is, it actually drew appreciative reviews in papers like the Evening Standard, then Westminster Gazette, the Standard, et al. So from this we can understand that Daghor actually, this English translation of Daghor, edited and improved by Tagore himself under the title The Post Office, that was published in 1914 with an introduction by W.B. Yeats. The next important play which I would like to mention is The Maharani of Arakan. The Maharani of Arakan, that is another play which was based on Tagore's story Dahlia. It was dramatized by George Calderon and it was performed at the Royal Albert Hall Theatre on 20 July 1913. And Tagore here, from this we can understand, has a creative artist of great imagination, intended to transcreate his Bengali plays into English. And as a result of this transcreation, they are regarded as independent creations, enlivened with freshness and vigor. Now here, I would like to quote M.K. Nayak. Tagore's thought-provoking plays are written in a language that matched with the subject matters. Here, M.K. Nayak has shed significant light on his translation skills. Quote, since while translating from his original Bengali, Tagore made extensive changes in the text, as in the case of his verse also. These plays are virtually redone in prose rather than being simple translations. Tagore succeeded in accomplishing the smooth transition, unquote. So from simple translations, unquote. So as a translator, Tagore succeeded in this smooth transition from the source language text to the target language text in each of his renderings. Next, I move on to Sri Aurobindo and Harindranath Chattopadhyay. Now, both of them contributed significantly to the enrichment of Indian English drama. Sri Aurobindo, as you are well aware, endowed his plays with philosophical, historical, and mythical ingredients culled from different world sources. His important plays include The Viziers of Basora, a dramatic romance, Perseus the Deliverer, Radugun, et al. And Harindranath Chattopadhyay also, in his plays such as the Coffin, The Sentry's Lantern, The Window, demonstrated his social consciousness. Next, I move on to a very important phase, that is drama before independence. Now, what basically happened during this time? That is, that is during this time, introduction of English in the academic curriculum in India started from the middle of the 19th century in accordance with Macaulay's recommendations in Minute on Indian Education in 1835. And during this time, universities were established in Calcutta, Bombay, and Madras in 1857. And these three universities actually helped the spread of English, helped spread the study of English, and also its application in different spheres of literary activity. As a result, these creations in English by Indian writers got impetus in the newly developed intellectual and cultural milieu. Now, here I have mentioned the names of the playwrights who were coming to the forefront during this time. That is, you can see from the slide, that is in Bombay and Madras, the playwrights came, the important playwrights like C.S. Nazir. C.S. Nazir's important play which came out, that is the first Percy Baronet, 1866. Then D.M. Warriors, the Indian Heroine, 1877. And next, in Madras also, we find that V.V. Srinivasa Iyengar's Blessed in a Wife enthralled the Madras audience. And other important plays are also Wait for the Stroke and Bricks Between, which were published in 1915 and 1918. Also mention may be made of the two most important playwrights during this period. Of course, there were other important playwrights, but it's not possible to mention all of them. So here I have just presented a brief sketch of these important playwrights, that is A.S.P. Iyer and T.P. Kailasan. So A.S.P. Iyer's two important plays, In the Clutch of the Devil and Sita's Choice, and also T.P. Kailasan's The Burden, Fulfillment, and Karna. Now here, I would like to mention the name of an important Indian theatre scholar, Abhijit Sengupta. Abhijit Sengupta is the husband of Poyle Sengupta, who is one of the most promising Indian English woman playwright. Now, Abhijit Sengupta has done a very remarkable work. That is, in Abhijit Sengupta's book, In Order of Appearance, we basically, in that book, we find a very brief overview of the different playwrights who are coming to the forefront. And he has done a very in-depth survey of that. So when I was reading that book, I was practically very much thrilled by seeing a lot of theater practitioners and also Indian English dramatists who are coming to the forefront. Now, Abhijit Sengupta writes, quote, before independence, over some 115 years, approximately 115 plays are known to have been written by Indians in English, unquote. So from this account, we can very well understand that the endeavors actually continued for English playwriting with genuine interest in the first 4 decades of the 20th century. Now, as the problem of Indian English drama was actually touched on by Aparna-di and also our esteemed speaker, Dr. Banerjee has also pointed out about that. That is, all of us know that Indian English drama has a constraint, has many constraints actually, but one of the basic constraints is that is Indian English drama cannot flourish properly because of the paucity of performance facilities and also the scarcity of English knowing theatre spectators. Now that is the major hurdle which we have to, which is actually a constraint in the proper development of Indian English drama. That is the paucity of performance facilities and also that is scarcity of English knowing theatre spectators. Now I will go into the detail of that after the discussion on the drama after independence. Now I won't go into the detail of Asif Karimba because Dr. Banerjee has given quite enriching note on the different aspects of Asif Karimba's plays and also its productional side. So I've just mentioned the important plays of Asif Karimba, and here also I would like to mention the book of Abhijit Sengupta. Now, Abhijit Sengupta writes during this period also, that is between 1947 and 2010, 807 plays by 255 playwrights came out. Now here, I would like to emphasize that the lack of living theatre is a major constraint for the performance of a good number of plays. And it is also regrettable that Indian English drama is not given the opportunity to figure in various national drama festivals. So that is really a matter of regret, because you know that is Indian English drama has many prospects, but it is not given the opportunity to figure in National Drama Festival. Now here I would like to quote, I would like to mention Anandulal, that is in the years following country's independence, in his article, A Historiography of Modern Indian Theatre, Professor Anandulal describes the decades after independence as postmodern, quote unquote, post-colonial, quote unquote, or even contemporary, quote unquote. So the contemporary phase has many shapes and shades of Indian drama. So I have mentioned the important plays by Asif Karimboy. Now a band of new Indian English playwrights also came to the forefront, like Lakhan Dev, the important plays I have mentioned here, Guru Charan Das, Pratap Sharma, then Nisim Ezekiel. So all of them, they came to the scene to present their English plays, focusing on Indian milieu, Indian heroes, and Indian mind. Next, the most important factors I have discussed here, which are coming in the way of the development of Indian English drama. Now, the problem areas are identified by S. Krishna Bhatta in his book, Indian English Drama, A Critical Study. Christopher Bum, in his article, Indian Drama in English, there precisely sums up Bhatta's argument. Quote, among the reasons listed are, firstly, an unwillingness to tap Indian mythological and performance traditions. Secondly, the lack of a living theatre. Indian English playwrights seem to write for the reader. Thirdly, an unwillingness to engage in formal experiment. And fourthly, the use of overly literary language which does not reflect the linguistic realities of modern India, unquote. Now, this is the main point which stands in the way of the proper development of Indian English drama. So the problems are basically related to the content and the performative side. And it is true that the utilization of mythical resources, when I was discussing Rabindranath, there I mentioned about this utilization of mythical resources in the plays like Chitra, Karnakunti, and Gandhari's Prayer. So that is also a major constraint which stands in the way of the proper development of Indian English drama. So the utilization of mythical resources lying in our collective consciousness is actually one of the effective ways of attracting Indian sensibility. So the language, so far as the language is concerned, Indian English playwrights write literary dialogue, which is different from the language used by the common people in their daily social interaction. The reflection of the linguistic realities of everyday life in dramatic works is an imperative necessity. Next, I come to the search for an acceptable identity to Indian drama after independence. Here, when I want to emphasize the search for an acceptable identity, I would like to quote Erin Beamy. Erin Beamy, in an article titled Contemporary Indian Theatre, Three Voices, writes, quote, after India gained political independence in 1947, a number of playwrights felt the need to develop a theatre that did not follow British models, but was in some way Indian. Kavalam Narayana Panikkar, along with Habib Tanvir, Vijay Tendulkar, and Girish Karnad, members of what is often referred to as the Theatre of Roots movement, began to study Kathakali, Yakshagana, Chau, and other traditional Indian performance forms to see what could be used in the creation of a modern Indian drama, unquote. Next, I come to Suresh Avasthi, one-time General Secretary of Sangit Natak Academy, coined the term Theatre of Roots, which in his own language, quote, thrills audiences and is receiving institutional recognition, unquote. Avasthi, in his article titled In Defense of the Theatre of Roots, wrote, quote, as part of the great cultural renaissance generated during the post-independence period, there has occurred a most meaningful encounter with tradition in various fields of creative activity. The return to and discovery of tradition was inspired by a search for roots and quest for identity. So this search for roots and quest for identity, quote unquote, these produce many success stories in creative arts. And Erin Bimi has actually drawn our attention to the success and to the experiments and also the success of some leading dramatists of post-independence India. Now here I will just go through a brief survey of the leading Indian English male dramatists who actually came to the forefront during this period. Now, Vijay Tendulkar, we all know his major Marathi plays are available in English translation, he enjoys a special position and prestige. He is known for ushering in novelty in the delineation of social reality and a challengingly theatre idiom. The plight that affects the lives of Indian middle-class women finds an appropriate focus in his plays. Indian drama lovers are quite familiar with Tendulkar's plays such as Silence, the Court is in Session, Shakharam Binder, Ghasiram Kotwal, Kamala, and Kanyadan. Tendulkar depicts the reality of Indian family and society where men dominate and women are subjected to marginalization and oppression. Next, I come to Girish Karnad. Girish Karnad, who wrote his plays originally in Kannada and subsequently translated most of them in English, displays his superb excellence in recreating Indian myths. His plays, Jajati, Hayavadana, Nagamandala are notable illustrations of retelling myths in contemporary Indian drama. Karnad's unfailing sense of history is also expressed in his play Tughlaq. Next, I come to Mohan Rakesh. Mohan Rakesh, we know, is best known for his Hindi play Adhe Adhure, whose English rendering is named Halfway House. It depicts a vexed contemporary problem of the fissure and fragmentation of Indian family. Now, the most important, I think, Badal Sarkar. Badal Sarkar, whose major Bengali plays have been translated into English, and that has impacted significantly on Indian sensibility. In 1960s, Sarkar became famous with his nearly absurdist plays That Other History, Mad Horse, Ebong Indrajit. Sarkar is basically credited with third theatre, with actually promoting the third theatre concept. And this third theatre concept speaks of for taking theatre out of the confines of the proscenium stage. And based on this concept, he wrote and produced Spartacus, Procession, Bhoma, and Stel News. So this third theatre, the street theatre, that is basically an effective vehicle to basically bring about the close contact between the spectators and the performers. So it helps performers to connect with the spectators in an intimate way. Badal Sharkar, in his article Our Street Theatre, asserts street theatre propagates change, quote, street theatre propagates change, the so-called pure theatre propagates status quo. Next, I come to Mahesh Dattani. Mahesh Dattani's influential voice is he is actually a very pioneering figure in the contemporary times, and he is an influential voice basically in the realm of Indian English drama, and we know that he won the Sahitya Academy Award in 1990. He focuses on such themes as marginalization, patriarchy, homosexuality, child sex abuse, male chauvinism, and communalism. His much acclaimed play, Where There's a Will, Dance Like a Man, Tara, Bravely Fought the Queen, Final Solutions, and other plays. Next, I move on to the important Indian English woman playwrights. There are many more, but here I have mentioned some of them. That is, this Indian English woman playwrights have opened a very significant chapter in the history of Indian English drama. The 1940s witnessed the emergence of Bharati Sarabhai. Her two plays, The Well of the People and Two Women. The first play is infused with Gandhian ideal of serving Harijans, the untouchables, and the second play is about the psychological crisis and the subsequent restoration of the peace of mind of two women. Next, I come to Uma Parameshwaran. Uma Parameshwaram also shot into fame in the 1960s, and she has to her credit plays like Sons Must Die, Meera, Sita's Promise, and My Sister. These plays basically depict the subtle and delicate sensibility of Indian woman. Next, Mahasweta Devi. Mahasweta Devi is an important name in Bengali literature, and we all know that some of her socially significant stories have turned into English plays, like and those stories include Bain, Ajir, Water, Mother of 1084. Then I move on to Manjula Padmanabhan, Paul Sengupta, and Dina Mehta. Now, these playwrights, these women playwrights, they have acquired a very significant dimension in the realm of Indian English drama because of the force and fervor with which they have portrayed the plight of Indian woman, because they have presented the condition of suffering, struggling, and bold Indian woman. And Manjula Padmanabhan, we know that she was awarded the International Onassis Award for her play Harvest. Now, Harvest is actually a pioneering play because it is about the effect of globalization on the first world, third world relationship. So that has earned wide acclaim throughout the world. And also Paul Sengupta. Paul Sengupta stole the limelight with the coming out of her very powerful play Mangalam. And she excels in portraying the woman's situation in her plays Inner Laws, Alifa, Daspek, Shurpanakha, So Said Shakuni, et al. Dina Mehta, also along with them, she also stole the limelight with her most important plays, that is Getting Away with Murder and Brides Are Not for Burning. So these plays also bring into focus several kinds of violence inflicted on women. So I have more or less presented a brief overview of this Indian English male playwrights and Indian English woman playwrights. But the problem lies in the fact that despite the different publications and the different plays which were written by these different playwrights, the Indian English playwriting has not yet gained that prominence. Now, what are the factors that are coming in the way? But still, continuity is there. That is, still new playwrights they are writing, and this there has not been any pause in the development of Indian English playwriting. So basically, the lingering deficiency in the performance channel is a big challenge, as I already pointed out. Now, despite this constraint, these playwrights, they are carrying on with their experiments with various themes and techniques. And the themes that are dealt with in contemporary Indian English plays basically centered around the feminist movement, the breakup of family relationships, economic and cultural problems stemming from globalization, increasingly influential role of the media on our daily life, devaluation of values, moral depravity, corruption, and the dominance of technology in every sphere of life. I'm sure also that the devastatingly shattering effect of COVID-19 will also primarily become a vital theme in many of the plays. Now, Abhijit Sengupta has given the list of names of new playwrights who are coming to the forefront. But now I'm not elaborating on that. So basically, time and again it is discussed in various forums that many workshops are being conducted and many playwriting sessions, these are also conducted. But basically the problem lies in the fact that there is the lack of perfect partnership between playwrights and directors. So what I want to point out here is that it is necessary for them, that is the playwrights, to be well acquainted with the performative modalities to give shape to full-grown effective stage plays. So the meaningful partnership is basically one of the determining factors for the success of a play's production. But again, I have come across many organizations, and personally I also know one or two organizations. Now they are actually doing a lot of hard work. They are putting a lot of hard work, and they are actually doing many constructive work. Like, I would like to here mention the name of one Kolkata based organization named the Creative Arts Academy. Now this Creative Arts Academy extends active encouragement and also fruitful support, and they also give opportunities to these budding playwrights. And these Indian English playwrights who are now working, they are actually associated with this organization. Now Ramanjit Kaur, who is the head of the academy and also the founder director, I had a conversation with her, and she is really hopeful about the different plays which are being produced in her organization. And she has given a list of many of the plays which are being produced in her organization. Here I have mentioned only a few productions, the names of only a few productions, like Beyond Borders, Is Job Charna Coming to Dinner, Snow White and the Saline Course. Here I have also added the snap of this Beyond Borders, which was a very important production by the organization. Then another snap also I have here given of Snow White and the Saline Course. So different initiatives are being taken. So that is always a ray of hope. And last week only they organized a webinar on the subject Writing for Performance. And in that webinar, the panelists were the celebrated playwright Mahesh Dattani, then Michael Walling, a renowned director, Anjum Katyal, a theatre scholar and critic, and Ramanjit Kaur, a drama director and actor. Now Dattani, I was listening to Dattani. Now Dattani there basically focused on the emerging role of playwrights in the changing scenario of playwriting. Now Dattani there has spoken about the concept of stage that has changed over the years. Now stage is not something specific. Stage is global. Now Dattani has repeatedly pointed on that aspect, and that aspect has to be taken into account while these playwrights are writing plays. And in, I think, in a month or so, they would also be organizing workshops on playwriting. So these ventures are certainly very encouraging for us. And so from this we can understand that besides this academy, also different other organizations are also putting on their efforts. So despite many problems and pitfalls, the journey of Indian English drama must keep on moving with accelerated pace towards a well-defined destination. Thank you.
Thank you, Paromita, for your wonderful presentation. And I'm sure that the audience here will be immensely benefited from your presentation. You have exquisitely presented a diachronic view of the evolution of Indian English drama, and you have pointed out critically, you have rather critically investigated some of the problems that Indian English drama involves. Now, this presentation is open for discussion. I will request from the audience, if there is any question, you can ask our speaker, please. Any question?
No,
Yes?
sir. I have
Yes.
no question.
Okay. So if none has a question, then I will be grateful to Paromita if she throws some light on a particular issue, on a particular aspect of Indian English drama, or rather, I would like if she manages to give us some kind of idea regarding this, that how is this Indian English drama ultimately, don't you think it ultimately remains a very urban affair, or can that be an obstacle, can that be an impediment, can that be a kind of problem for this Indian English drama, this genre, because ultimately it doesn't have a greater reach since it is restricted to the urban audience, particularly the urban middle class English educated audience. So how do you think that this Indian English drama can overcome this obstacle in future?
No, as I have mentioned, Shomikda, different organizations are coming up and they are trying their best to cater to the needs of the audiences. Now, there is actually, as I told already, as I mentioned already, that there is a lack of effective partnership, and that is actually standing in the way of a greater reach of Indian English drama. Now, elite audience, as we know, that urban middle class audience and the audience belonging to the to other strata of the society, obviously that is a major impediment, as I already mentioned, because English knowing theater spectators, that is not something which is very common and abundant. So what is encouraging is that several efforts are being taken, and I'm sure that in the years to come the scenario will be much better, because we need to spread it in a better way, because you know that is different theater groups, they are making constant endeavors, they are making constant efforts to make it reach to the common public. Now, I think that like the regional theaters also, English, because the medium of English is something which is limited to a very uh, limited number of audience. Now, obviously, this language, this conversational language has to be incorporated. The conversational language, because Indian English Why is Mahesh Dattani's play so popular? Because Mahesh Dattani uses Indian English. That is why Mahesh Dattani's plays are so popular. So as I already told, as I already have pointed out, that is this proper coordination between the playwrights and the drama directors. This is very important. Now that only can help to solve this problem of this lack of larger reach among the audience.
Thank you.
Hello, I have one question
Yes,
Yes.
please.
to Paramitadi, and the question is, how far Western culture or Western playwriters influence Indian dramatists?
See, that is a quite a, I mean, quite a huge area. So in this limited time, it is not possible to discuss
Yeah,
that. That is how far Western playwrights have influenced Indian playwrights. Now, that then I have to go to Aparna Bhargav Dharwarkar, then the other playwrights. That is obviously this. That is why I mentioned the theater of roots, because theater of roots is basically going back to the indigenous forms of theater. Because in Erin Bimi's article, we find that is how this how we return to the indigenous forms of theater, departing from the Western model. Obviously, initially some traits were there, but then later on, after independence, there was this need to depart from that Western model. And Rabindranath also initially did that. Actually, that is a huge area, so that requires an elaborate discussion. Okay.
Okay. If there is any other question, we will take it. On behalf of the Department of English, Navabarakpur Prafullo Chandra Mahavidyalaya, first of all, I would like to thank our Honorable Principal Sir, Dr. Sunil Kumar Bishwas. He has so enthusiastically encouraged us in all such endeavors that is somehow or other a kind of huge motivation behind all our ambitious projects, ambitious enterprises, I must say. Then I must thank our speakers. First, Dr. Shamipendra Banerjee from Gaurbanga University, then our own Paromita Bandopadhyay, faculty member of Department of English, Navabarakpur Prafullo Chandra Mahavidyalaya. I must also thank Professor Dr. Aparna Mondol, head of the department, Navabarakpur Prafullo Chandra Mahavidyalaya. And I must thank the audience. They are so encouraging. They have participated in the interaction. And last but not the least, I must also thank Professor Shanu Das for the technical assistance that he has extended. Thank you so much. Now I officially declare this session. Yes? Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. So officially, this session has come to an end. Thank you. Good night.